All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show. It is officially draft season. Well, it's not. It's playoff season, but we have a first rumblings of a guy the 49ers may have some interest in the upcoming 2024 NFL draft, which takes place in April. We'll hit that coming up next. But first, we are brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket. Tell them that Krug sent you. And we're also brought to you by Mojo Fantasy. Check the link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, K-R-U-E-G, and they will match you up to your first $100. Thanks to Mojo Fantasy for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Well, 49ers met with Texas Tech cornerback Rayshad Williams at the Hula Bowl. That's the story. One of my favorite guys covering the draft this time of year is Justin Mello. And I really love the Draft Network. The Draft Network is really an outstanding spot. If you're one of these people that wants to, follow the Draft Network puts out a lot of great stuff. And Justin Mello is at the top of the list of guys who basically will tell you, hey, who the 49ers have met with and who they're showing interest in. And, it's not like, it's not like every guy they show interest in is somebody they're going to draft. But if you look at who they have drafted in the past, in the last 4 or 5 drafts, oftentimes they're players that that they have looked at, in the pre-draft process. They either met with them at the Hula Bowl, or they met with them at the Senior Bowl. They met with them, somewhere along the line, maybe at the Combine. They had a private meeting. Well, according to Justin Mello of the Draft Network, the Niner scouts recently met with Texas Tech cornerback Rayshad Williams at the Hula Bowl. He was one of 3 Red Raiders who accepted invites to the All-Star game. He's a 6'3", 215-pound physical specimen. He had 24 PBUs, pass breakups, for the Red Raiders. And a bunch of teams met with him, including the Niners, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Bears, the Dolphins, the Seahawks, the Cowboys, and the Indianapolis Colts. He spent 2 seasons at UCLA. He spent the past 3 seasons at Texas Tech. He's 6'3". He'd be one of the tallest defensive backs on the roster. The Niners are going to be looking for a couple of key positions in this draft. One is going to be offensive tackle. One is going to be corner. And of course, they're always looking for edge rushers and defensive linemen. So those 3 areas, but I would say offensive tackle, corner, and edge rusher or defensive tackle, D-line just in general. And, the pass defense, if you look at the Niners, you say do they have a weakness? Well, if there's one weakness, it's probably the pass D. The Niners rank in, the top 5 of, rush offense, rush defense, pass offense. But when it gets to pass defense, they're in the middle of the pack. They're 14th. And, Charvarius Ward, Mooney earned the Pro Bowl nod and second team All-Pro honors for the season that he had. And the Niners have a lot of young defensive backs already on their roster, but they could always use another big physical corner. And Rayshad Williams is a standout corner. He's got great size, as I said, 6'2", anywhere between 205 and 215. He allowed only 25 of 54 targets to be completed in the 2022 season. He's got great length. He can mirror receivers up and down the field. He's very physical. He's surprisingly quick for that size. He gets a great break. He can play press man, and he can also play off man, which shows that there's some development there. There's some experience, and he should be. He's a 5th-year player, right? The guy's played a lot of football. He can improve as a run defender for sure. He could take better angles for sure. There's no question he gets a little grabby from time to time, but man, you're talking about a really underrated player and a guy who can play. He's an underrated player. I think he's not a day 1 pick. He's not a first round draft choice, but he very easily could be a 2nd round pick or a late 3rd round pick. And a player that I really, really like. I mean, to me, this is a guy, he's an underrated player. if he has a good postseason workouts and the lead up to the draft, if everything's goes well, he could go from like a fourth round pick into like a second or a third round pick. But I really like him, and if you watch his film, you can see the physicality and you can see the power. And you can see the footwork. I mean, he's really quick, and also he's got, for a guy who's 215 pounds, he's got the ability and the loose hips to be able to mirror receivers up and down the field. So, um, an interesting player, a player that I really have liked in the draft process for a couple months. I spotted him earlier this year and thought, man, this guy, if he runs the right 40, he's a big, smothering, long-armed corner who could be in better shape, to be honest. I mean, he could definitely drop, to me, I would love to see him show up at about 205 pounds instead of 215. I think at 215, there's a chance that you could almost play him inside a little bit. But almost all young players get bigger as time goes on. But I really like Rayshad Williams, and that was, to me, a guy that I was thinking of as maybe a day 3, fourth round pick, fifth round pick. But he started his college career in 2019 with UCLA, with the Bruins, and then 2 years there he transferred to Texas Tech and played his 3 final years there. 2019 he played 9 games with the Bruins, had 33 total tackles and a couple pass deflections. 2020 he played 5 games with them, 9 tackles, a pass deflection, but he really came of age for the Red Raiders. 13 games in 2021, 10 PBUs. 2022, 13 games, 7 pass deflections and an interception. And then this last year, he played 12 games, 19 total tackles, 6 pass deflections. So long frame. And, there's a number of GMs that love that. I know Chris Ballard in Indy loves the long frame corner. I think of him as a day 3 guy, but there's a chance he sneaks into the third round with good workouts. To me, as I said, I'd like to see him in a little bit better shape, a little quicker, but a player that is definitely one to keep your eye on in this draft process. There's really 3 areas where the Niners will be scouring the planet for prospects, and that is corner, and there's a number of good ones, and some guys that are going to be late round guys that I even like. Haddon from Tennessee, Prince from Mississippi State, are late round guys, but Rayshad Williams is a nice day 2/day 3 corner, and then offensive tackles and defensive linemen of all shapes and sizes, guys who can rush the passer off the edge and guys who can do it inside. So there you go. Our first draft prospect to take a look at. And once again, if you can, go follow Justin Mello of the Draft Network. He's going to do a lot of the reporting, telling you who the Niners are taking a look at. And he hit a good one here with Rayshad Williams. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Mojo Fantasy for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.